Hi guys, Ashley here. Today I'm bringing you a phenomenal guest, Jill Tang. She's the founder of She Rewires community based in Shanghai, and she's a community builder helping women in technology, STEAM and STEM all across China to come together and learn and upskill themselves digitally. Jill, welcome on the show.
Hi everyone, thank you Ashley for having me.
It's fantastic to have you here, and I am very fascinated by the way you have built a community and your community have grown in the past, especially 3 COVID years. So let's start with the first question. How did it all start? The She Rewires and the whole mission of helping women in the professional world to digitally upskill.
Right, so it all started actually, the journey, it all started 6 years ago in 2017. Actually, I would say 2016. So I started a women's STEM community called the Ladies Who Tech in 2016 with my co-founders, and based on her experience when she was in Silicon Valley, attended 1,000 Women in Tech conference. And when she came back to China, she was like, hey, this is such a cool idea. Let's do that together. So 6 years, we built an amazing women in STEM community here in China. And then why it's called She Rewires now, I think, life always changing all the time. So we both actually move on to our own journey. So then we decided to separate in our own way. And then I will take over what we have built here in China and amplify in a new version. So that's why the community still has the same mission, really trying to aspire women and unleash their potential in STEM industry. But then why call She Rewires? So because we wanted to enlarge the scope, including arts, women's STEAM. At the same time, we also want to make it more inclusive for the women who are interested in STEM but doesn't have the background. So that's how it's all started.
And you've mentioned before we started recording that the community boomed during the pandemic. Why do you think is that? Is that people were looking for a group to join? They were looking for help and support, or is it because everybody was bored out of their mind during the lockdowns?
Yeah. I think actually COVID-19 actually amplify the growth of our community. In China we have a word called 危机, right? There's always opportunity in challenging times, right? Depending on whether you have that wisdom or you have that perspective to finding out this opportunity. I think there's a few things, right? When we look at COVID-19, actually women and children are the group of people, are the first group of people getting affected, right? And then a lot of women losing jobs because, when everyone cannot go to the office and work, talents who has more digital skills will be on demand. And obviously, women are the less population has the digital skills, so that's why they are the first group of people losing the jobs. Because of that observation from the global report by Microsoft, so we partnered up with Microsoft in 2021. We initiated Women Digital Future initiatives, trying to really collaboratively helping women to do the digital upskilling. So with the help of Microsoft and the other large corporations, we had a chance to be seen by everyone, and then we grow our community during that period. But also because of the nature of community, they are quite tech savvy, and very open-minded. That's why.
Yeah, that's beautiful journey. So how was last year, 2023, for broader economy and for a lot of professionals? It was a tough year. So how did women professionals in mainland China do, based on your network and connections?
Right. I think 2023, it's really the year of everyone is trying to recovering from, the pandemic period of time, trying to catching up. In the first half year of 2023, people are getting really crazy busy. But I think women are naturally, they're quite resilient. in a way. So even though there are a lot of you can say like layoffs, right, during the industry, especially in the tech industry. However, they can quickly kind of adapt to the situations and looking into again the opportunities. I can see not only they really knowing what they want and then thrive during the STEM industry, but at the same time, even if they are not working for a company, I can see a lot of women entrepreneurs and also freelancers, a new way of working group actually happening in China. So it's very, very diverse. And then what I see is women in China are really, because of the nature of the country, right, it's really tech savvy. As I mentioned, even my mom is like so pro in like digital shopping and doing a lot of paying digital bills. So this is really giving us a good foundation to leveraging technology, leveraging the tool to work and also living better. So overall, I think it's actually looking quite positive.
Very interesting. We're going to talk more about why Chinese women are particularly tech-savvy compared to their global counterparts a bit later. But meanwhile, do you see that there were some unique challenges last year or pressures that Chinese women faced professionally? Maybe there were some specific opportunities you've just now mentioned. Many of them started new businesses or side hustles or other gigs. So are these unique opportunities or challenges evolving, let's say from 4 years ago to during COVID to where we are right now? Or are they pretty much remaining the same, some of the constraints and opportunities professionally for women in the country?
From my observation, industries of, especially for our community, what I have observed, they are really spend much more time looking inwards on figuring out what they want. If we have to using a word to summarize the industry, it's well-being, right? So yes, we're talking about AI, we're talking about technology, STEM, but at the end of the day, they really start looking inwards on who they are, what they want, and how they wanted to engage the world being in a more impactful way. This is my observation. It might not to do with technology, not STEM, but really that's how I observe most of our community members are spending a lot of time and even investment in a personal growth in this area. So some of them are the women executive from the top 50 or not even 100, top 50 multinational companies in the world. They even taking their personal time out, taking coaching classes. So I think, even when they come across the crossroads or they don't really know what they want or what the roads in front of them, but they're still trying to figuring out in their own way. And this is one of the basically the personal growth in terms of looking inwards on what really means to them is kind of like getting a big thing here.
Beautiful. And are there any unique challenges? And are these challenges evolving? Because I was reading your report, the one that you've mentioned came out just a couple of years back, and you've said that nothing much changed, because I think the major highlight of the report is that in China, women have significantly lower digital gender gap versus other countries and regions. And they do have unique challenges and opportunities, but there's also reasons why China is a lot more digitally savvy, including women. So do you see pressures, challenges, opportunities in other areas evolving, or they also remain the same? Like, for example, women globally are expected to, yes, take care of the families and to be or not to be successful in their careers, to be primary caregivers to the children, and they do not always have cerebral equal opportunity, right, in progressing in the workplace, etc. They might not have the same access to some education, or they might not have the same strong business community where people are willing to talk about, real business impact and develop together a mastermind, etc., etc. So how do you see that part?
Just giving everyone a little bit background of the white paper that we have done a couple of years back with Microsoft, and then to really doing a research on what's really happening, right? So firstly, we actually collected 13,000 sample data across all different tiers of China. So it's not a report based on only Shanghai, Beijing. It's actually cross different tier city of China, and then also women in tech or women not in tech, based across all the fields and industries, right? And also the age-wise, also like post 95, we had 30% women with children, not children. Okay, but then overall, why we are tech savvy, it's also because the access to internet and also smartphones. Compared to countries such as like Africa or some other emerging market, the access to internet and then smartphone is really giving us advantage to be able to learn. And then also 68% of women actually prefer to learn online. So even after they graduate from university. So as long as you have internet, as long as you have smartphone, you can just learn from anywhere at any time, right? So that gives us a quite bit of advantage on this. But the challenge is, I think at the end of the day, it's all about the mindset. That's also why we had a new name called She Rewires, because it's all about rewiring your mindset, not falling into a trap of the stereotype of thinking, right? How can you rewire and really break the stereotype and to see your potential? So I think this challenge is a shared challenge with the global, because women obviously not getting paid by their other jobs, as in wife, mom, this type of So we all have 24 hours and 7 days, but sometimes some part of the time when we contribute to a family, it doesn't really counting into or being translated into commercial dollars, and it become like it's your duty, you have to do it. So this is really shared challenges. But then again, what I have observed is women here in China, they definitely wanted to be able to leverage the advantage of technology while they fulfill the family duty, but they also want to grow. So that's why if you see the report, basically women has 1 hour less disposable hours compared to their partners, but they are willing to spend more time and more money on personal growth.
And I think that probably is kind of similar in the rest of the world, at least the women in my network, right? They're constantly learning, they're constantly involved in programs online, offline, be it psychology, be it a hard skill. And there is the desire to kind of be better and do more and, kind of higher, etc. But in China, probably because also of the pressures in the professional world and the fact that everybody right now, for example, beginning of 2024, there's a craze of getting another certificate. Even if you are a college graduate, people are just collecting certificates and licenses, right? From, I do not know, operating a commercial vehicle to drone operator to whatever that is. So yeah, it's very, very interesting. When it comes to the mastery of skills, right? So learning is all about mastering those skills. What are the top skills that women are aiming to learn, let's say in 2023, based on your experience, and maybe in 2024 right now?
Right. I think what's the most on-demand skills, digital skills, are data analysis, because 97% of women are using data on decision making at the workplace. So data analysis is definitely one of the most popular skills that they wanted to learn. We call it ABCD learning, right? Like A is AI, B is blockchain, C is cloud, and D is data. So ABCD learning, you kind of need a little bit prerequisite to learn, but for data, probably is one of the most common and easier one to do. And then also this year, we actually can see a lot of skill sets is how to incorporate AI GC into your business transformations. Even we work with one of the mobile app first business school. One of their really popular courses is how to use GPT to learn coding. So there are more and more AI GC driven innovative courses actually happening now. But then you can see it's all about basically how to apply technology in helping your work and also your business better. So I guess this is our scope of the courses are getting more popular now.
And I remember maybe 3-4 years ago, just at the start of the pandemic, there was a huge boom. Everybody was learning psychology. Everybody wanted to get a hold of their mind and their attitudes towards life, and that was the thing. So many friends in Shanghai have a personal coach, have a psychologist with whom they work on, again, having a successful mindset and shattering limiting beliefs. So that was definitely a big thing. And right now with, again, technology making another leap forward, we are talking about AI and implementing those skills at work. That's beautiful. When it comes to China, we all know that government narrative is very important, right? So we are not going to repeat the old phrase that, women hold half the sky and all that, but ultimately the narrative that is passed on from the central government down to the local governments, down to the companies, down to the day-to-day kind of scenarios is important, and that narrative is changing. And we as women in tech, in STEAM, in STEM, in Greater China, feel the difference, right? And the narrative right now is, we need kind of women to stay home. We need more children, and right now 3 kids are allowed. So how about you all kind of pull in your weight? And yeah, it's important to be educated, but it's not so important compared to the big mission, getting kind of the kids out of the door. Do you see in your community that this narrative is being accepted, or it's being laughed at, or it is really being taken to heart and acted on? What do you think about this narrative, and how do you think it will or will not impact what's actually happening with women in China in the professional world?
Right. So it was actually quite a big topic when, because I'm from the one-child generation. And then we call millennials, right? Millennial generations. And then with the three-child policy was out, it was actually, there's a lot of discussion around it. I think this policy is really responding to a recent low birth rate, what's happening here in China. But I think at least government is realize the challenges, and they're trying to really finding a way to work on it. But whether this will be implemented how long it will be effectively to implement it with any new policy, it takes time. So even like in 2021, there's a policy about empower women in technology, or women scientists, was out by basically the Technology and Innovation Bureau by China. But again, it takes time to really figuring out the most effective way to implement a policy and make it quantifiable actions, right? So I think it's a goal, but then again, it's really challenging. It's a systematic thing. We always say policy is policy, but you need industry and also company and also individual to participate. It's definitely not a one-man show. So what I can observe now is company, even like I recently attended Shanghai Women Federation's meetings. They also trying to finding a learning from, say for example, Europe in terms of policy, whether they will trying to pushing or driving the companies here in China have more like birth friendly, as in not only facility wise to address to make women feel more comfortable, especially moms at workplace, but also whether it's possible to also driving the policy having your fathers have the same maternity leave, because deep down in China it doesn't seem like a very proud thing to do to taking a maternity leave by fathers, but then again it does help to drive the birth rate. It's so having women at home not working is definitely not the solution. It's not sustainable, because we also need them to at the labor force, right? Like you can't just choose one and then not having two. So we need to be smart about it. So yeah, the policy wise, having 3 child, but at the same time, in a package, they also need to design systematically how can that be more friendly to women who wanted to have like 3 even more kids.
Yeah, a couple of my friends, again, across Shanghai, across Chengdu, across Shenzhen, Beijing as well, reacted in a way being like, seriously, we're already so tired, so busy, the economy is not doing well, and you seriously are talking about having more kids? That's the reaction that I, within my circle, got. Another one was, I'm not even sure I want to date. I am doing absolutely fine. I have my girlfriends, I have my family, I have my 3 cats or 2 dogs or whatever else. I'm not even sure whether I want to date. Why would I have a kid? And number 3, I also had a couple of rather senior women in their late 30s, 40s and 50s saying that we fear that would limit opportunities for younger professional women. Then, for example, in the government apparatus, you will not be promoted as a young woman because they will try kind of to discourage, to block your career a little bit, to encourage you to realize yourself in, let's say, other aspects. So these are the 3 reactions that I at least received within my circle when we talk about those policies, and especially not just policy, not just 3-child policy, but the narrative, because there are speeches by relevant departments and even the top leaders where the messages are being sent, and these messages are being sent to kind of the whole populace and the whole industry, etc. So it's not about the policy itself, it's really about those messages. So do you see any of these within your circle, or you feel that the most important next step is to just see how to implement it and how to make it a choice, rather than, again, blocking someone or discouraging someone or sounding completely divorced from people's feelings and ridiculous, requiring somebody who doesn't think she needs a boyfriend to have 3 kids?
Yeah, I think also, we also received some of like interesting discussions and feedback from men as well as our allies. I think overall they also come across quite a bit of challenges and pressure, especially if they're 1 child at home as well, right? They have to take in a lot of responsibilities. So it's not only women, you see, right? Like, especially the girls who are post 1995 or 2000, they were like, oh, I don't want to date. And then you know what? The guys do the same, because why? They are the digital generations. It's not even about this. It's about, when you spend too much time and comfortable in the digital world, you don't get out. Obviously, you don't want to even want to make friends, right? So dating obviously can be one of the, I would say, scenarios. It's not really people connections, right? So how can we changing that? So I think overall with the 3 typical discussion or reactions, yes, we definitely have heard about that. But then again, policy is policy, and this is really responding to from their perspective, how to making a country moving forward more sustainable, right? But then again, it takes effort to engage industry, company, and also individual to be part of it, right? But then again, it's not overnight thing. It might take 1 generation to really building up, fix the system, or I would say improve the system, and then welcome people to be more, for those who love kids, they even can have 5 if they want, right? Like, it's not about 3 is 3. You can have 4 and 5 if for people who really love the kids. And I always say, right, like the CEO of a YouTube, she has 5 kids. So it's really coming back to when we have role models to speak at our convention, some of them, they are really like a busy, you know, like women executives, they have 3-4 kids. Like, you can manage it whether you are, I would say, creative enough, if this is really something you want. So that's why, so that's why I always encourage my community members, you know, when you know what you want, and then also we need to be creative and smart about it to how to make it happen. So even if as a community or company giving you great policy or setting up such a great company culture for you to bloom, but then but again, at the same time, you need to be responsible and be the ownership of your own life, right? So it takes two to working together. You cannot only rely on external factors when you are just waiting here to imagine the magic happens. So
absolutely, and let's also hope that this movement is actually providing men and women choices, more options, as you said, more inclusiveness, more opportunity rather than restrictions, right? Let's hope that's moving in that direction, and it will definitely take time. You've just now spoken about role models, and I love that concept because I do believe that once you identify where you want to go, the fastest way to get there is to look for people that are already 5-10 years ahead of you, and then success leaves tracks. You can just follow those footsteps to arrive. In China, for a very long time, it was difficult for many successful professionals, including women, to actually put themselves out there and be the role models and say, you know what, yes, indeed, I have succeeded and I'm happy to share my kind of experience, right? So we preferred the humble types. But do you think this is changing? Do you think women are willing to put themselves out there and say, you know what, I'm going to come and I'm going to speak at your convention, and yes, I'm a successful woman and I'm going to own it, and I would love to inspire others? Or is it still...
Absolutely. It's very interesting, right? Like in China, when you're doing a business, you always have to looking at a few perspectives, right? One is you really need to understand the policies, right? Political policies here in China. And secondly, you always need to kind of justify or reconcile with the economic return. You cannot only talking about mission, vision, but not really tie back into the business return. And then the third thing is, previously we will see more and more, not only women, but men are active on public speaking is because driving business, right? Not really about role model, but more about, coming out and speaking about their product and their company. But nowadays, the way of new marketing is not about promoting your product and services. Is whether you can promote your product and services through a personal story. So we will see a trend is now people are less about a company brand. They actually wanted to promote their employees, within the firm to get out and then to tell their own personal story in a way, indirectly, to promote the company's product, service, and the company brands. So this is actually one interesting fact is really driving people to kind of getting out and tell story in their personal perspective. And secondly, I think it's also with a new way of community engagement. So if you see because for our community it's a little bit different, is because we are pretty much have a lot of women in STEM, and those women versus women in a marketing or in a more like a management positions, they tend to be more like head down, right? Like doing stuff. They're not very interested in getting out to speak. That's why we exist, because we keep telling them, and they are really humble. And it's really deep down in the Chinese culture is like actions louder than speaker. Like I don't want to talk. Talk is cheap. Let me do things and improve. But then again, the mindset is changing, because it's not about what you do, right? Even scientists, right? You have amazing inventions, but if the market doesn't see, well, it's kind of wasted, right? So that's why I think the market is really moving towards to whether we can do a storytelling, not only promote what you do, but at the same time that will inspire the next generations or the people who surround you to see the potential. So it's a long question. It's about the observation, but yes, with the new generation, with the new way of storytelling, I think more and more women and also men are willing to getting out, doing storytelling. But versus like, Western countries, maybe still not as the norm, but it's definitely moving towards to that direction.
Ah, that's beautiful to hear. Role models. We need a lot more of them, because once you see people like you succeeding, you also have that fire in your chest. And you know what? If they could do it, I can probably do it, and it works beautifully. So we need to show you those stories. We need to share those journeys. I absolutely admire that mission. Beautiful. Jill, what are the top priorities in your view of women in the first tier cities in China, the educated, the professional women today? Because this is the group that a lot of Western brands, foreign brands, and also domestic Chinese brands are targeting, right? We talk about the women economy, the night economy, the cosmetic economy, the sea beauty. We talk about the guochao, and a lot of those economy, the pet economy, etc. They are all driven by women, and women consume not just for themselves. Of course, this is a big driver, but they also consume for their, let's say, parents, for their partners, for the families that they look after. So they very often determine how the money is spent and how the trends are being created and where the next, consumer product turn is being taken. What do you think Chinese women in top tier cities in China are looking forward to today?
Wow, they are definitely the drive of the economy for sure. For sure, because I think you can also kind of have the feel from the needs of our corporate partners. Like we would have a autonomous driving car company coming to us say, hey, let's do something together to really let your crowd know about the effort that we've made to making our cars. Why it's women friendly, what they can do within that third space of the car when you don't need a driver, right? So you can see the market really reacting to getting more women consumers. But at the same time, is we all realize you cannot have men to design a product for women. So at the same time, they need more women in the team to design a product for women. So that's
for centuries that didn't stop them. Even the bras for women were designed by men, and underwear for women were designed by men for generations. So it's great that we have moved past that. I applaud it.
Yes. So it's really interesting. That's why I said, in China, when we promote this, we're really trying to tie in back to economic factors. So at least it will really open a conversation for them to, actually, if you do want to make more money, if you have women as your part of your consumer, which is like obviously a lot of consumer, like a huge number, then let's sit down and see how can we make it work. So talent-wise, consumer-wise, even like A/B testing, like really trying to engage women in all perspectives to design a better products for women. Yeah.
And their priorities today, do they include fun at the top of their list, education and growth? Do they include lying flat or still achieving? Yeah, because we have obviously these two very polarizing ideas, being chill and also, just pulling through and getting that economic success. Are they motivated? Previously you said, they're motivated by kind of sustained development and also maybe circular economy, etc. So out of those values, what do you think are the top 3 or top 5? Is family still in the top of the list in your experience? Professional women, well-educated from first tier cities. Is it family first or is it me first as of, individual happiness? Is it professional development or having a chilled life? I, for example, have a friend who's recently hired, a newer team in Shanghai, and he was saying person from a large Chinese tech company came to him with many years of experience for a very low salary. And he said, hey, what's wrong? Why do you want such a low salary? She says, I just want a stable job and I want to leave at 6. I'm happy to work for that very, very little money. And she has an apartment in Shanghai. She comes from a Shanghai family. She says, I don't care. I just want to contribute myself to a bigger cause. That's why I'm working. And I don't need a big salary, but I want to be able to live at 6. So 3 to 5 values. What are their priorities in your view?
I think personal growth is what I have observed across all of different stage of life. Even if with the young graduates, right? Like, they do need money. They can work kind of like 996. But then again, personal growth is like why I'm working for what I'm doing, right? Like a kind of personal growth is definitely. And secondly, it's well-being. Because of COVID, we realize health is the number one. And then and then third thing is personal experience. Because at experience and contribution. I think contribution is kind of like back to the why, right? Like not only getting paycheck, but also why I'm doing what I want. Because it's really about the self actualization or realization, right? The value. So in summarize, I think personal growth, experience driven, and also contribution. Contribution includes why they care about sustainability. Why they want to make an impact or join a mission-driven projects or company, especially for younger generations.
Yeah, it all makes a lot of sense. So if we are looking from the perspective of a brand that wants to target those consumers, how can, in your view, brands appeal to that consumer group?
They really need to changing perspective of looking at a consumer as consumer, inviting them to be part of the community, to create a sense of belonging, and also invite them to be part of the journey, the creation journey. So it's not about you create something and you sell it and then that's it, like transactional relationship. It should transit from transactional relationship to a partnership with your customers. And that's how I think brands should really consider. Because recently I also have received a request or like basic query about even internally what they can do to do a better internal engagement with the employees. It's not a company employee, how they can create a feel of its community rather than it's a company, you get a paycheck and then that's it, right? So I can see not only between the brands and consumer, but even a company with employees, the relationship is kind of like changing. They really want to create a sense of belonging and an ownership of rather not only for brands, products, but also jobs as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And the more digitally connected we become, the more emotionally disconnected very often we become, right?
Yes.
So this challenge is just also being amplified by the fact that out of 5 days a week, there's sometimes 1 day a week when people work from home. Instead of having a face-to-face meeting, we do WeChat call or we do a Zoom. And of course, at one point you're sitting there alone in your pajamas, and you don't really feel like this is a community. You feel that this is a transaction. You're exchanging your time, your effort for the money. And the same thing happens, on the product side. No, that's a beautiful insight right there. So in your experience with all these women help groups and organizations, just like yourself, your organization, do you think they are on the rise in the country, or are they at the same level as before? Do you think they are needed? And if so, what kind of problems are they solving? Or is the market maxed out and everybody's happy with where they are?
I think definitely on the rise. At the end of the day, no matter what your gender is, your age is, where you're coming from, right? Like overall, I think it's all driving towards the same direction. Is economic, right? Like you cannot ignore the half population who are the strong labor force, right? So I think, education wise, obviously there are more than 51% of women will take in computer science as their major, but maybe software engineering is still not enough, like still 10 or 20% of women doing it. But overall, you can see more and more, girls and women studying STEM, because it's the future. It's now, it's not even the future, right? So I think it's still on the rise from the talent perspective, consumer perspective, and also, basically the labor force. And also I think to be honest, currently, it's globally, I think it's still a tough time for everyone, right? Like everyone's like, economics is not doing well. Like everyone is like really trying to figuring out, navigate what's the way out there, right? But I realize, at least from my observation, is my community, or women generally, they are very resilient. That's what I have a lot of respect, right? Like resilient in a way. Yes, really resilient. And then also wanted to collaboratively working together, and they're willing to invest in a long-term investment, as in not a quick win. Quick win is nice, but at the same time, they were more looking at things in a long-term way, how that will contribute to my personal life and overall to the family. So overall, I think it's on the rise. I think the challenge is real, but it's not only in China, it's globally, right? But then again, how can we view, it's the facts. We can't really change the facts, but how can we navigate with what we have? That's also, it's art, is of individual, how they place their attention and energy on either negative side things or positive side things. So we choose to looking at a positive side of things, and then really to grow and amplify and thrive with what we have instead of complaining. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I love this phrase, it's bad but better. So it's not yet great. There is still a long way to go, but it's getting better. And we also need to be realistic and grateful about it. And we need to continue working together. I am absolutely excited that we have more and more organizations just like yourself, your organization. I love it that we have communities where people come together digitally and also right now finally offline. I love it that the Chinese women in tech, STEAM, STEM also now have a voice and a representation in the global arena. I believe that we can learn from each other so much. And ultimately, as you say, it is the same goal, it is the same destination, what we are thriving for, and supporting each other, having the role models, sharing experience, and going after it with a lot of digital education and digital upskilling is the ultimate direction. Jill, what is next for you and She Rewires?
I'm actually really excited about the new chapter of She Rewires, because we're really going to implementing the idea of a community 3.0. What does that 3.0 means everything is about co-building journey. So the next is we will be more project driven. Because in the one point, basically in the previous version, we building a community through, a lot of events, a lot of, digital learning. So it's still going to be keep running in this way. But the new journey is inviting our community members. Doesn't matter, you represent yourself, your company, your organizations. Let's co-create a shared mission under both parties, and then we have a product and services designed to drive this co-shared mission and the value. So basically, as in you can translate, you basically can see it as in we will use community to incubate individual and also projects.
Exciting. It sounds like a very exciting mission, and go get them with She Rewires. Thank you so very much for joining us today. We have learned about women at work in China. We've spoken about what are their priorities and aspirations are, challenges and opportunities. We have also explored that digitally they are already a lot more savvy and a lot more on the ball, but they continuously invest in self-development. And we have also realized that more and more role models are right now being given the spotlight in China, and of course more communities supporting this mission for women professionals are popping up across the country, which is very, very exciting to see. Thank you so much for being with us. Guys, if you would like to learn more about She Rewires community, hit Jill up on LinkedIn under Jill Tang and Google them up and see what you can do with the beautiful community to promoting women, equal opportunities, professional growth, and co-creation.
Thank you so much for sharing, Ashley. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for being with us today, and stay tuned for more Ashley's Digital episodes to come.